y'all, welcome back to the channel, and I'm glad y'all are here for this new video. Today's main point of discussion or topic that I wanted to be discussing is basically the things that we consume, primarily the stuff that we listen to and the type of music that we listen to is basically what I wanted to discuss today. Just a little background. I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up going to church and stuff, and when I was young, I've always been attracted to music. I just like beats and stuff. So when I was young, I did play instruments. I played instruments for the church. So I've always been naturally attracted and drawn to music. For me, at least, music was the only way that I could relate to somebody else because, somebody else's lyrics could, deeply relate to what I'm going through right now. So that's why I've always loved music, because it's like somebody is writing a song exactly for you. Sometimes like the songs that I be listening to is, more of the genre towards like rap and hip hop and R&B and stuff like that. So I've always loved listening to the beats, also just going with the flow and the lyrics. I feel like everything is just intertwined and it's just like a perfect blend of composure of things. A lot of the stuff that I listen to is it could be pretty toxic, especially like if you like look into the lyrics and you actually think about what they're actually saying. It's insane, like what they be saying, like the topics of like drugs and money and lust and women and partying and so many different things of this world that just come into play, and that could be so negative and so toxic, but you don't really realize it because it has a good beat or because you're vibing to it or whatever it is. And I feel like it really is the silent killer, because I'm like thinking about it, like throughout all these years that I've been listening to like hip hop and R&B, like if you really look into the lyrics and look into what these artists really be saying, it's like they're spewing a lot of negativity and they're spewing a lot of like hidden trauma and just a lot of things that you're not meant to be like consuming or listening. I feel like music has always just been a way, like an escape for me. Like I've always used it as a way to just get out of the environment that I'm in or get out of the headspace that I'm in. Because, I feel like growing up, I've always had a negative headspace. Like I've always thought negatively. I just had a negative outlook in life. And like me looking back at it now, realizing that like all that stuff is because of the stuff that I was consuming. It's like if you were an athlete, would you eat a hamburger or a cheeseburger or something unhealthy 24/7? Like you wouldn't, because you have to maintain a certain regime or a certain workout or whatever it is to keep you in the best shape possible. It's kind of the same thing with like the stuff that we listen to and the stuff that we look at. It's like the more that we consume these things, the more that we consume the music, the more that we consume the media, whatever it is, the more of that thing that you're going to turn into, or the more of that thing you're going to think about. Like if you listen to music with cursing, with a lot of lyrics that have to do with like drugs and killing and murdering and stealing and fornication and lust and whatever it is, that's the type of stuff that you're literally putting into your body. It's the same thing as the things that we eat. It's just like is the same concept. Because me, like the type of artists that I've been listening to, that I used to listen to, like these secular artists, like, like just to name a few off the top of the dome, like Drake, Chris Brown, Tory Lanez, Bryson Tiller, just a whole bunch of artists that be talking about like the craziest stuff, but we don't really think about what they say. Because like I said, again, the music is good, like they got a good beat, like it's catchy, whatever it is. We don't really think about it, but unconsciously, it's also feeding into our spirits and into our souls. It's like these topics of conversation that be going into the music, be talking, like I said again, be talking about drugs and money and lust and women and murdering and whatever it is. It's just like it's out of pocket, and we're letting it consume us, and we're giving it access to our bodies. We're giving it access to our minds, our hearts, and our thoughts. The more stuff that I listen to, the more the anger I've gotten, the more lustful I've gotten, just a lot of stuff that I didn't think about before. I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, man, the stuff that I was like listening to was one of the main factors of how I was living. Like I was living in lust. I was living in anger and depression and all these things. And before, when I was younger, I had like bad depression, and I never really showed it to anyone because, like I said again, music wasn't a way out for me or like an escape for me. So every time I was depressed, I would just put on my headphones, I would just listen to music, and it would just, it would just take me away. Like I wouldn't even be there. And like I said again, I was feeding in that depression too, because like I was listening to like R&B music with like sad lyrics about like, like just crazy stuff. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was wondering like why I was sad all the time. And it's like, man, not I'm looking at it now. It's because like of the stuff that I was listening to. I was listening to like the most depressing music ever, and it was just feeding into my sadness. It was feeding into my depression. It was feeding into my anger, my bitterness, like my jealousy. And I didn't really take into consideration of the stuff that I was listening to, because it was just so easy. It was like it was such an easy access. Like you just go to your phone, put on Apple Music, Spotify, whatever it is, and you just plug in. That's how easy it is. And that's how easy it is for this world to get to you, to get inside of you. Just this past year, actually, like 2023, like for the past year, I don't know why, but I've been listening to like Christian music and gospel music heavy, and that's all that's been into my rotation. I swear, I feel like I made a 180-degree rotation, 180-degree change, and my music selection is so different now than what I've been listening to for the rest of my, like for the previous past of my life, because like I said, I was listening to like crazy music, like if y'all ever heard of like G Herbo, Lil Durk, like Montana 300, like these are the type of people I'm listening to. I don't recommend y'all to listen to them, but if you ever did listen to them, like Lil Bibby, like those type of artists, like you really get to see like how negative the music is. And again, this is the type of stuff that I was listening and consuming, and it was like I was unconsciously living in anger, living in depression because of the stuff that I was consuming, and I just didn't realize it. I swear, like I used to have like playlists for days. Like I used to have like, I used to love these artists so much, and like this was like the one thing that I could not give up, was just like listening to R&B music, listening to hip hop music, rap music, because like that was the only way that I could escape. Like when I was depressed, I would just get in my car, just start blasting like sad music, and that would give me comfort, believe it or not. But like I said again, it was just feeding into my sadness, into my depression, into all these different things, and I didn't realize it. I also wanted to incorporate some Bible verses and just some principles and some things that changed my perspective and outlook of why I think it's so important now, like the topic of music and the things that we listen to, and why it could be so detrimental to our spirits and our soul. I want to get the verse right. So it's Proverbs 4:23-27. It says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thoughts to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or left to keep your foot from evil. So that very first verse, verse 23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So again, the stuff that we listen to, the stuff that we watch, the stuff that we eat, it literally goes into our spirits and goes into our hearts. Yes, we do live in the physical realm, but there's also a spiritual realm that we have to take into consideration as well. And it's really important of the things that we consume. If we keep consuming all these negative things into our hearts, it's going to reflect into how we are as a person, how we maneuver as a human being. Like if you keep listening to lyrics with murder, with lust, that's the type of lifestyle that you're gonna get yourself into. Like unconsciously, you're gonna want to chase that, even though you're not that type of person, because of the stuff that we let into our hearts. It also says in Jeremiah 17 verse 9, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? So our heart is already flawed. It's already deceitful. Like we are wicked. We are wicked people, and we are living in sin. And it's so easy to feed into that, especially in today's day and age, in the world that we live in. People are just so consumed to things that are not good for us, but we don't really think about it because it's so normalized nowadays. Like the things that the things that we listen to, the things that we see in the media is just so normalized. So it's just like, well, if everybody else is doing it, then why can't I? If everybody else is listening to it, then why can't I? At the same time, it's like, yeah, you can. No one's stopping you. Like, but at the end of the day, it's gonna affect how you live. One more Bible verse that I just want to tie up is Jesus said to them, "Be careful what you listen to. The same amount you give will be given to you, and even more." So there's that principle of compounding. So if you know anything about like compounding interest, if you put $1 into, let's say, your savings account, then you could increase it by compounding that. If you put $1 today, you put $2 tomorrow, and then you keep compounding it, then you'll have $1 million in X amount of time. So it's kind of the same thing. This principle of compounding. If you keep feeding your spirit and your flesh with lust, with pornography, with secular music, whatever it is, then your spirit and your flesh is gonna desire and crave more of these things, and it's going to affect how you live again, but it's also just going to exponentially grow into that sin and into that wickedness, and it's going to be so hard to turn back from. Just be careful, guard your hearts, guard your ears, guard your eyes, guard everything, because nowadays it's so easy for the enemy to sneak into your life. He'll use different motives, different people, different things to corrupt you. So yeah, just be careful of the things that you get yourself into. And like I said again, it's the things that we don't really think about, but just think a little harder next time. You know, is this stuff glorifying God? Is this stuff going to benefit me? Just think about stuff like that when you're doing something. And it don't gotta be music. It could play into any aspect into your life, because I believe that is not just the things that we listen to. Like I said again, it could be literally anything. So yeah, just guard your hearts is my ultimate message for this. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching this video. If y'all made it this far, I really appreciate y'all. I got more in the works coming soon for different videos, more creative videos. I know this is more of a sit down and just, you know, talking more personal one-on-one, but I want to make it a little bit more exciting and stuff. So yeah, got a lot more content coming up for 2024. This is a year for me to just go all in for content, go all in for God, and y'all should do the same. Follow your dreams, follow your passions, and just give it up to God. I appreciate y'all for watching. Tune in for the next video. Peace.